कल मैंने वो किया था आपको, जब कॉन्स्टिट्यूंट असेंबली के डेटा लिखाया था 96 नहीं, वो 93 होगा, राइट? एक 296 इधर 290। बेयर एक्ट जो मैंने बोला था, दैट दिस इज द बेयर एक्ट दैट यू नीड टू बाय, दैट्स अ बेयर एक्ट, राइट? You need to buy. Otherwise, one bear act by PM Baxi, you can buy that also. There's no issue at all. PM Baxi का भी अच्छा है, right? You can buy PM Baxi or this bear act, whatever you want, right? You have to pay more for bear, I think, PM Baxi, but less for this. Thank you so much. And you all have this, right? जरूरी है, but not all part. You should be selective. Notes तो आपको develop हो जाएगा. So yesterday we talked about what? We talked about Constituent Assembly. अच्छा, क्या क्या बात किया था हम लोगों ने? What we talked about? What is yet to talk? So we should write few more line. CA, Constituent Assembly was partly elected and partly nominated. The Constituent Assembly was partly elected and partly nominated. आज डेट कौन सा है? 18। अच्छा, CA was partly elected and partly nominated. It started working on, what was the date? December 9, 1946. 1946. She was partly elected and partly nominated. It started working on December 9, 1946. The senior most member Dr. Sachidanand Sinha, was elected as a president of the Constituent Assembly. Was elected as a president of the Constituent Assembly or temporary president of the Constituent Assembly. Right? The second meeting held on कब हुआ था? दिसंबर 11 ना, 2 दिन के बाद, December 11, just after 2 days, 1946. On this date, Dr. Rajendra Prasad was elected as the president of the CA. The second meeting held on December 11, 1946. On this date, Dr. Rajendra Prasad was elected as the president of the CA, and H.C. Mukherjee and V. Krishnamachari were elected as a vice president of the Constituent Assembly. V. Krishnamachari. Sorry, S.C. Mukherjee. Right, we write Mukherjee, but we speak Mukherjee. Right? So S.C. Mukherjee and V. Krishnamachari was the vice president, and who was the president? Dr. Rajendra Prasad. There was several committee. Next point, there was several committee constituted. There were several committee was constituted, like drafting committee, a steering committee. There were several committee was constituted, like drafting committee, steering committee, committee on minority rights, etc. Minority rights, etc. Most significantly, या कुछ छूट जाए तो बताइएगा आप लोग भी. Yes, others, Abhay, Abhilasha, Amber, Harsh, Krishna, Nitin, Priyansi, whosoever is concerned. Just क्या लिखा? Most significantly, drafting committee played a very important role. Drafting committee played a very important role. It was chaired by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. It was chaired by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Drafting committee, power steering committee. Then there was a committee on rights, minority rights. Then there were several committee. Right? You can just go through that base. Yeah, there are several committee. For example, ad hoc committee. There was ad hoc committee. Then there was a finance and staff committee. सब एक थोड़ा सा जो पेज नंबर है चैप्टर 2, थोड़ा सा इसको पढ़िएगा. किससे? लक्ष्मीकांत से. चैप्टर 2 लक्ष्मीकांत से. ये मेकिंग ऑफ इंडिया कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. आज तक एक भी सवाल नहीं आया है पीटी में. राइट? बट मेंस में आ सकता है. क्वेश्चन अभी देता हूं प्रैक्टिस के लिए. अब पहले कुछ और लिखावट कर लेते हैं हम लोग. क्या लिखा अभी तक? What you have written? B.R. Ambedkar, right? Right. Dr. B.N. Rao was not a member of the Constituent Assembly. Dr. B.N. Rao. Dr. B.N. Rao was not a member of the Constituent Assembly, but he played a very important role in making India's constitution. He played a very important role in making India's constitution. Right? Prominent women members were Hansa Mehta, Aruna Asaf Ali, Rajkumari Amrit Kaur. Aruna Asaf Ali, Hansa Mehta, and Rajkumari Amrit Kaur. ठीक है? Amrit Kaur. Prominent non-Congress member were Shyama Prasad Mukherjee. Prominent non-Congress members were Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, M.R. Jaikar, Purushottam Das Tandon. They were the non-Congress member, right? Purushottam Das Tandon. These all three were from Hindu Mahasabha. All these three members were from Hindu Mahasabha. Ambedkar represented SC community. Ambedkar represented SC community. And more. We should not reduce Ambedkar only to the question of the caste. No. He also raised very important question, for example, women question. For example, do you aware about the Hindu Code Bill? No? Okay. Recently, Hindu Marriage Act is being, amendment bill is there in the parliament. Do you know Hindu Marriage Amendment Bill that is pending in the Indian Parliament? When it was passed? Hindu Marriage Act? Okay. Hindu Marriage Act was passed in 1955, but it was a part of Hindu Code Bill, right? Hindu Code Bill formulated by Bijendra Jha and Dr. Ambedkar. Don't write. थोड़ा सा important लिखना है तो लिख लीजिए, otherwise story लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है. Hindu Code Bill was formulated by two persons, Dr. Ambedkar and Bijendra Jha. Bijendra Jha helped him, and B.R. Ambedkar was a legal minister, right, law minister, and he proposed to introduce Hindu Code Bill in the parliament and smash all the malpractices in Hindu community. For example, polygamy was allowed. Have you heard about polygamy? One man and many wives. It was very prevalent in pre-independent India, right? So, do you know अभी है प्रचलन में? No? Right. In Mizoram, there is anyone from Mizoram? Yeah. Can you tell me the largest, the man who has largest family in the world? Do you know that? What is that? Who is that man? How many wives he has? Yeah, 39. He's right. And more than 100 children. Approximately 96 children. Approximately 100 children. Right? Polygamy was prevalent in Bihar, Bengal, Odisha, Assam. Right? When I talk about Assam, then it goes to larger part. Not all the earlier Assam, but larger part. Right? It was allowed in Kerala too. Polygamy. Right? Ambedkar told no, that should be stopped. It should be stopped. Then what about women's inheritance right? Did woman had inheritance right? What is inheritance right? Woman right to property. Do you celebrate Rakhi? Yeah? Do you celebrate? Would you respect your sister's right to property? Or is it that woman's right to property is respected in society in larger level? No. भाई उसी दिन झगड़ा कर लेगा जिस दिन बहन ना प्रॉपर्टी मांग लेगी. आई एम टेलिंग यू, भाई नहीं झगड़े करे, बाप भी निकाल देगा उसको. Why? This is because of patriarchy. Because of patriarchy. What is patriarchy? Patriarchy is the rule of father, right? Rule of man and rule of elders over the youngers. That is called patriarchy. Right? Dr. Ambedkar struck down this and he gave equal property right to women through the Hindu Code Bill. Right? He tried to stop polygamy. Right? And Nehru, right? Nehru objected, no, we cannot introduce Hindu Code Bill. Why Nehru was reluctant to introduce it? And Nehru did it later on because Nehru thought, Nehru was right. If you introduce certain radical things, everyone will object. Right? So he knew the conservative mind of the member of the parliament. And he thought that if I will introduce this idea, there will be revolution. There will be revolution. And there will be reaction from the society and there will be reaction from within the member of the Lok Sabha. Right? And what he denied to introduce it, and Ambedkar resigned from the government. Nehru did it in 1955 when you see Hindu Marriage Act, Hindu Succession Act, Hindu Adoption Act, right? All this bill, it was introduced and passed, right? And Nehru was challenged by many, pundits. Do you know first election of independent India when it was conducted? Yeah, November 1951 to February 1952, 4 months. अभी भी 4 महीने लगते हैं election conduct होने में. Even today, general election takes 4 months, in order to conduct the election. So first general election was conducted from November 1951 to February 1952. And Nehru contested from which constituency? Allahabad, yeah. And one person contested against him. His name was Kripaturi Maharaj. And Kripaturi Maharaj challenged Nehru that what does he know about Hindu society? Right? Because he knew that he kuch hone wala hai. Because there will be some bill has already framed, right? And this person are very disastrous. They will introduce some bill which will stop polygamy. And you know how religion is helpful, but at the same time, religion legitimizes several things. Religion legitimizes several things, isn't it? Right? So the Kripaturi Maharaj challenged him. Who? And Kripaturi Maharaj was fought election from the ticket of Jansang. Have you heard about Jansang? The forefather of the current BJP. Right? And he was supported by Hindu Mahasabha and other right-wing party. Anyway, the Hindu Code Bill was very, it was a historical bill, right? That was framed by Ambedkar with assistance of B.N. Rao, but later on it was passed by, it was introduced by Nehru himself. And when Hindu Code Bill was, when bill is passed by both the house, Lok Sabha and Raj Sabha, it goes to the president. Who was the president that time? Rajendra Prasad. He said, I will not sign it. He said, I will not sign it. Right? Why? Because you are striking down, you are interpreting the society. You are penetrating the society basically. Right? You are violating something which is social. Even British did not touch. British did not touch it, but you are touching it. नेहरू ने कहा कि मैं प्रधानमंत्रीशिप छोड़ दूंगा साहब. Nehru threatened, Rajendra Prasad, I will not be a prime minister. Then, this person, the Rajendra Prasad, signed on the bill, and finally, bill became an act, and that prohibited to marriage. Right? If you go to the second marriage, there are certain procedures. There are certain procedures that you have to follow, then you go. Fine. So Ambedkar should not be reduced to the caste. My purpose was say here, Ambedkar was not reduced to the emancipation of the Dalit. No. Ambedkar was also leader who emancipated many, like women as a social group. फाइन सो अंबेडकर के बारे में लिखा रहा था और उसके बाद मैंने बोलना शुरू किया कि मैंने क्योंकि एक्चुअली जो लाइन लिखाया है दैट सिग्निफाई दैट अंबेडकर हैड डन ओनली वर्क फॉर द लोअर कास्ट राइट और द शेड्यूल कास्ट नो इट इज नॉट दैट फाइन या यू आर एब्सोल्युटली राइट right
and they don't allow or they allow polygyny.
Yeah, you're right. See what happened. If you see the larger section of the society, that was Hindu, right? And if you see even Ambedkar was a part of Hindu, right? He took birth as a Hindu, but he did not die as a Hindu, as he himself said that I took birth in Hindu, but I will not die as a Hindu. He converted himself, became Buddhist, right? Indian state, as you rightly pointed, Indian state intervened only in the personal law of the Hindu, and it silently lived Muslim personal law, and that was the blunder. That was a blunder, right? If Nehru would have been taken, symmetrical reform in society, that time I think Muslim would not have been reacted so sharply, right? It was the initial year of the independence, right? But abhi to maine bataya Kripatri Maharaj reaction hue, but Hindu is not a homogeneous community, right? There are several sects. So you worship Krishna, I worship Ram. She worship neither of the Ram or Krishna. She worship something else, right? Got the idea? It is very diverse. Even within one sect, there are various subsects. Within there is one caste, there is several subcastes, right? So reaction came from Hindu society as well, but reaction was not so huge, right? If reaction would have been so huge, it would be not possible to pass the law. As you see, in 1985, when the Supreme Court has given, in Sabano case, Supreme Court has given right to maintenance to women, there's a huge reaction, right? So you're right कि इन्होंने तो इधर हिंदू में किया, उधर छोड़ दिया, and it was not a secular activity. You're right. Yeah, that is also one way. See, how reform comes or how reforms become successful when the voice is coming from the within the community. समझ रहे में आ रहा है आपको? अगर हम खुद एग्री कर ले, right? बहुत लोग डिसएग्री होंगे. If we discuss within the community about some reform, but when we entire majority of the community will not allow to have some reform, you cannot do reform. Should I give you example? Yeah. Should I give you example? Recently, there is a temple in Kerala where the Supreme Court allowed women to enter. Right? Yeah. Sabrimala case. But society was against. Right? State tried its best to follow the Supreme Court judgment. Few women activists entered it, right? But still, women are not allowed inside the temple, right? That judgment is again, in the review petition within the Supreme Court. So my submission is here, if you go for the social change should come from within the community. If community is willing to change, then the state can make the law, and then it can bring changes. Merely bringing law may not be successful for such a change. तो नेहरू को लगा होगा कि अगर लॉ निकालूंगा शायद उधर बहुत ज्यादा हंगामा हो जाएगा, तो अच्छा करते हैं कि ऐसा करते हैं कि जस्ट फर्स्ट मेक अ लॉ फॉर वन कम्युनिटी एंड ग्रेजुअली वी विल टेक ओवर, right? And recently in 2015 I think BJP government has passed triple talaq. मूवी देखिए निकाह, किसी ने नहीं? निकाह देखिए? हाँ.
What are your views on the fact that Muslims cannot enter masjids and madrasas?
See, every religion is a discriminatory. Not in pure form, let me tell you. Not in pure form, but there are various interpreters of that religion. Right? There are various interpreters of that religion, and that interpreter made several restrictions to individual. Right? What was your what was the religion of us or ours before birth? Do we know our religion before birth? No. It means the religion is something which society gives you. The caste something which society gives you, isn't it? जन्म से पहले किसी की जाति होती है क्या? ना रिलीजन होता है. God has made everyone equal, दो हाथ दो पैर. यहाँ पे हमने क्या बांट लिया? We have divided, we have constructed some institutions. Sorry? Veil of ignorance. इधर से तो कुछ सवाल नहीं आ रहा है. There are several things that we created, and we created for, and not we created, only minority of people have created for their own benefit. And let me tell you, it's right that women are not allowed in madrasa and mosque. But can you tell me a woman is allowed in Parsi temple? A Parsi woman is allowed in Parsi temple if she marries to the non-Parsi? No. No. So religion in a pure form, it's not discriminatory. It's a good one. Right? Marx said religion is opium to the masses. He has his own view. But, religion is not opium. Right? It is one way of living. It is one way of, experiencing their life. But it does not mean that religion is non-partial, non-discrimination, unbiased, not. Right? For example, if you talk about Muslim community is not homogeneous. It is very heterogeneous. Shia, Sunni, Alwaiti, right? Then there is a Mawati Muslims, Ahmadiyya, right? So Sunni does not consider Shia as a Muslim. Shia does not consider as Ahmadiyya as a Muslim. Ahmadiyya does not consider Alwaiti as a Muslim. Alwaiti does not consider as a Mawati as a Muslim. It's a very contested things that we have started. Debate, right? Debate. Okay? The religion as an institution, it is a social institution, and there are discriminatory practices in each religion. Right? Even Buddhism में बात कर लो, बहुत सारे हैं. If you talk about which are the most violent religion against women in the world, it's Buddhism. It's Buddhism, who preaches non-violence. But the most violent religion in the world is Buddhism. Look at the Buddhist state and women's status and violence against women. ठीक है, बहुत सारा चीज open debate है ये, that will go on. We should write about Ambedkar. ठीक है, fine. We'll talk about secularism, then I will come up. We'll talk about secularism. Yes, you can also, switch on your mic and then can intervene. क्या लिखा last में? And more? Yeah. And more? More? Yeah. Ashok Mehta. Right. Ashok Mehta represented socialists. Right. Ashok Mehta, Bijendra Jha, and Ashok Mehta, Bijendra Jha, and others represented socialist. Bhogendra, BHO, Bhogendra, right? Kon Ashok Mehta, right? Ashok Mehta and Bijendra Jha represent and more represented socialist. Marxist boycotted. Next line लिखिए, Marxist boycotted CA. Marxist boycotted Constituent Assembly. Marxist कोई भी Marxist ने ज्वाइन नहीं किया. अच्छा, क्यों नहीं ज्वाइन किया? Any idea why Marxists did not join Constituent Assembly? No idea. Acha. No, see what happened. Marxist who talks about peasantry, working class, who thought that this Constituent Assembly is a not truly representative Constituent Assembly. It representing bourgeoisie. Bourgeoisie means propertied class, right? Propertied class. That's why they are talking about rights. If you think right to property, that was secured in constitution. So who is bothered about the right to property? Only propertied class. So they thought that we should not going to join this Constituent Assembly. So they did not join Constituent Assembly. Gandhi did not join Constituent Assembly, right? So, but Gandhi's region was different. Marxist region was different. Got the idea? ठीक है. लिखिए next point लिखिए on December 13 1946 Jawaharlal Nehru introduced objective resolution. On December 13, 1946 Jawaharlal Nehru introduced objective resolution. Objective resolution. It was passed on January 22, 1947. It was passed on January 22, 1947. The objective resolution formed the basis of preamble. The basis of preamble. It means preamble is retrieved from the objective resolution. कहीं छूट जाए तो बताना, हाँ? Online का. It means preamble has been retrieved from, retrieved, R-E-T-R-I-V-E-D, retrieved from the objective resolution. कहां से निकाला गया preamble को? ऑब्जेक्टिव रिजोल्यूशन से ही निकाला गया है. ठीक है. अच्छा, राइट. द बेसिक फीचर्स ऑफ ऑब्जेक्टिव रिजोल्यूशन वाज फॉलोइंग. Basic features of objective resolution was following. Were following. First लिखिए, first were following. First, it declared India as an independent. It declared as India as an independent sovereign republic It declared India as an independent sovereign republic. Second, it said that India shall be a union of state. India shall be a union of state. It said that India shall be a union of state of princely states as well as provincial states. India shall be a union of state of princely states as well as provincial states. Right? Pooja ने पूछा है why Marxists did not join Constituent Assembly. Will you answer him, her? Why Marxists did not join Constituent Assembly? Yeah. Very good, very good. Because the Marxists believe that Constituent Assembly is not representing the real masses, the real poor people. They are representing the rich propertied class. I'm not using the word bourgeoisie. Huh? Right? Rich propertied class. That's why they did not join Constituent Assembly. You know, when India declared as independent, the Marxists went underground. And they said that ये आजादी झूठी है. This freedom is a false freedom. This is not a real freedom. Why it is not a real freedom? Because the only massive, few people will capture the power and the situation will remain the same. Right? So only authority will change from British to Indian, but general reality will remain the same. But very soon they realized कि इतना popularity है, right? Because Marxist was very popular during freedom struggle. They realized that now we should come to electoral politics, right? Our Indian Marxist was very much influenced by British Marxists, who thought that we can, we can achieve socialism through parliamentary road to democracy, right? So in first general election, they came again, then participated, and it was the biggest opposition party. Left Party was the biggest opposition party in the first general election, right? But for the few period of time, they went underground, right? Fine. क्या लिखा? तो मार्क्सिस्ट अभी को सब पता. पूजा ठीक है? Yes, it was. I was answering Pooja. हाँ. Okay. Next point you write. It said that people of India would be source of all authority and power. It said that we are talking about objective resolution, right? Salient features. It said that people of India would be source of authority and power. There shall be guarantee. There shall be guarantee and security of justice, equality, and freedom. Justice, equality, and freedom. Adequate safeguard will be given to minorities. Adequate safeguards will be given to minorities. Adequate safeguards will be given to minorities. Safeguards, yeah. SAFE. Safeguards will be given to minorities. Next point, it focused on integrity of India. It focused on integrity of India and seek promotion of peace and seek promotion of world peace and seeks promotion of world peace. Full stop. ये सारे सेलेंट फीचर्स थे, राइट? और यही बना किसका? प्रियम्बल का सोर्स. यहीं से प्रियम्बल उठाया गया है. फाइन, या. Integrity was not there in the preamble. Yeah, but objective resolution talks about integrity. It was not added. Unity, integrity was later on, 1946, I think. 78, na? 78, when 42 second amendment. Yeah. What is the difference between unity and integrity? When we talk about, yes, India shall be, there shall be unity and integrity. What is the difference between unity and integrity? What is that akhandata? What is integral in that integrity? Yes, ekta theek hai. Unity means oneness. India shall be one. Exactly. You have to integral. You have to just connected, right? Interconnected between community with harmony and love, right? With equality, fraternity, liberty, and justice. Integrity means, you know, वो देखा है बुनकर जो बुनते हैं, right? Society is multicultural. Indian society is very multicultural, multi-ethnic, multi-religious. You have to harmonize the society. You have to, integrate the society rather than make division within the society. Fine? Got the idea? कुछ हिंदी अखंडता जो है ना, हिंदी का शब्द बड़ा ही गड़बड़ हो जाता है, वो बैठता ही नहीं है. हिंदी ट्रांसलेटर जो ट्रांसलेट किए है उन्होंने, वो बैठता ही नहीं है, जैसे सेकुलरिज्म पे नहीं बैठता है. Anyway, चलो पता चला इंटीग्रिटी. सो इंटीग्रिटी वाज वर्ड इन द ऑब्जेक्टिव रिजोल्यूशन. या अभी प्रियम्बल बढ़ेंगे ना तो सेकुलरिज्म पे बहुत लंबा डिबेट करेंगे. आई विल गिव यू आंसर. फाइन. या, राइट अ क्वेश्चन. राइट अ क्वेश्चन. Though the Constituent Assembly were partly elected and partly nominated. But it was representative. Discuss. This is question for your practice. Though the Constituent Assembly were partly elected and partly nominated, but it was representative. Discuss. उसका आंसर लिखिएगा, लिख के दीजिएगा. Those who are joined through online, you can send me, you can write, scan it in PDF, not JPG. In PDF and send me via email. I'll check and then reply you back. Yeah. Sorry. Word अभी 200 word लिखिए ना. as of now 200 words, right? You can expand it little, you can precise it little, right? तो मध्यम मार्ग पे चलेंगे, ठीक है? As Buddha pointed out. Fine. Now we will talk about, yeah. Now if you look at the Constituent Assembly, which started working on December 9, 1946, right? And it took 3 years, approximately 3 years time. In between, what happens? What was the major changes? Major changes was partition of India, right? And which act brought this partition? Mountbatten Plan. Yes, Mountbatten Plan. Very good, very good. And this partition also changed the formation of the Constituent Assembly. If you look at इससे पहले कौन सा प्लान था? कैबिनेट मिशन प्लान, which constituted Constituent Assembly, and it declared there will be one constitution, right, for the entire nation. Congress agreed, yes, there will be one nation, right, one constitution. And जो भी हमारा झगड़ा है, whatever we have disagreement, we will resolve it. Initially, it was the constituent framework was agreed that we will make a federal constitution, right? And only 4 subjects will be given to the center. What? Currency, defense, external affairs, and communication. And the rest will be given to the states, including residuary power. अच्छा, बहुत लोगों को residuary power नहीं समझ में आ रहा होगा, अभी समझ में जाएंगे. Residuary power means कुछ ऐसा और पावर है. जब हम फेडरलिज्म बात करेंगे, रेसिडुअरी पावर तब डिस्कस करेंगे. और ये कैसा होगा हमारा अरेंजमेंट? फेडरल होगा. बट पार्टीशन चेंज द मूड ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट फ्रेमवर्क एंड इट बिल्ड अ वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग नेशन, biased with the union. Even the word federal has not been added to the constitution. If you see the Indian entire constitution, word federal you can't find. Why? Because of partition. And that partition also brought changes in the composition of the Constituent Assembly. Right? For example, if you see the entire member, maximum member were from the Congress. Maximum member were from Congress. As I pointed out yesterday that Congress was Constituent Assembly and Constituent Assembly was Congress. Muslim League did not join. Congress believed that today or tomorrow Muslim League will join the Constituent Assembly, but Muslim League, were committed to two nation and two constitution. And consequently, there's a Mountbatten Plan, there's a partition of India, there was just 2 separate nations, one was India, one was Pakistan. Right? I was talking about Jogendra Mandal. You remember? Yesterday. Jogendra Mandal went to Pakistan. As Ambedkar played a very important role for making India's constitution, Jogendra Mandal made a very good contribution to making of Pakistani constitution. Fine. Anyway, now what this partition brought changes in the Constituent Assembly. Now, if you look at till 15th August 1947, this Constituent Assembly was not sovereign. Now it has become sovereign. Secondly, it has started also working as a union parliament. The partition had made some changes in the Constituent Assembly. So this Constituent Assembly was also working as a CA, and this time Dr. Rajendra Prasad used to chair, but when it used to work as a parliament, G.V. Mablankar used to, right? There are many work that done by the parliament, this Constituent Assembly. For example, it adopted national anthem, it adopted national flag, right? It took approximately 6 months to draft, right? And there's a huge debate in the Constituent Assembly about everything. They debated everything, they debated, right? So that was the Constituent Assembly entire work. you need to read chapter number 2, Making of India's Constitution from लक्ष्मीकांत. ठीक है, कोई सवाल हो तो मुझे पूछिएगा कल या आज भी पूछ सकते हैं, मतलब इसके ऊपर मेकिंग ऑफ इंडिया कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन वो क्वेश्चन लिख के लाना है. ठीक है, और ये जो है ना कि कब किस तारीख को ये बनाया, किस तारीख को वो हुआ, यूपीएससी कभी नहीं पूछती है. राइट, फॉर एग्जांपल ऑन द व्हाट okay, can you guess the date on which in national flag was adopted? This type of question is not being asked by UPSC, but there are data. Right, the date on which we have adopted national anthem, the date on which we have adopted many things. Fine. So कुछ डेट है, डेटा है, कुछ याद कर लीजिएगा. I will move into preamble. Fine. ठीक है. Yes, any question if you have, you can ask. मेकिंग ऑफ इंडिया कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन हमने पढ़ा पर्टिकुलरली मेंस पर्पस से. लेट मी टेल यू वन थिंग, स्टडी फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ मेंस, नॉट द पीटी. अदरवाइज you'll remain as a PT master, will not move forward. वो मेंस निकलेगा ही. राइट, सो रीड फॉर मेंस इंटायरली, रीड इनकॉम्प्रिहेंसिव. पीटी उसी में से बीच में से आ जाता है, आइडिया है. अगर आपका की आइडिया क्लियर है, nobody will stop you in PT. Right, but PT needs more strategy rather than more your labor, more work. Men's needs more work than more strategy. Right, for example, अगर हमारे पास सिलेबस में जो भी कंटेंट है, आपके पास कंटेंट होना चाहिए. that we have started doing it. आपके पास 1 पेज 2 पेज 3 पेज में कंटेंट होना चाहिए, बेसिक से लेके अपडेटेड तक. एंड मेंस में आप आराम से लिख जाएंगे, कोई भी आंसर रहेगा नहीं आपके पास. फाइन. पीटी में क्या है, वो बड़ा ही स्मार्ट है यूपीएससी. कुछ ऐसा क्वेश्चन पूछेगा जो आप हम लोग से भी कुछ क्वेश्चंस होते जो हवा नहीं लगता है. टेलिंग यू ट्रुथ, अगर कोई टीचर कह रहा है कि नहीं यूपीएससी उसी दिन में लेता हूं और सारा आंसर निकाल देता हूं, वो आपसे झूठ बोल रहा है. एक ऐसी क्वेश्चन आता है कि आपको भी किताब पलटना पड़ता है, आपको भी गूगल बाबा से पूछना पड़ता है, अच्छा गूगल बाबा हुआ क्या था उस दिन बताओ जरा. And then you able to give or entire 100% answer, but you don't need. For example, इस बार बार काउंसिल से कुछ क्वेश्चन पूछा था. बार काउंसिल कभी नहीं पढ़ाया, बार काउंसिल के बारे कभी नहीं पढ़ा, मैं नहीं पता था. राइट, तो ऐसा होता है. बट 100 क्वेश्चन तो पीटी में करना नहीं है आपको. 55% मोर देन सफिशिएंट है, 60% बहुत है. You don't attempt more than 70%. More than, if you are attempting more than 70%, it means you are so excellent, or you are making plan to go out of the PT. If you're so excellent, then okay, fine, attempt it. But if you are average, attempt 70. What you should do, you should minimize your error. ह्यूमन एरर होता है. अगर आपने 7 मान लो 70 करा है तो उसमें एरर होगा, 10-12 ऐसे नहीं होगा, गलत नहीं होगा. there'll be error, right, there'll be error, but don't do 20 out of 70 30 error कर दिया ले, right, और 40 error कर दिया. फाइन, तो एरर को मिनिमाइज करना है. अगर एरर मिनिमाइज है, इवन यू मेक 60 and you do only 5 error, sufficient. राइट, और प्रैक्टिस के में ये एरर कम करने का वो चांसेस, जब it depends on practice. The more you do practice, the more you can minimize your error, but you cannot eliminate that. वो तब फिर भी रहेगा. ऐसा नहीं कि 50 क्वेश्चन करेंगे तो 50 सही करेंगे, नहीं. वो एरर ह्यूमन एरर है, वो we as a human being we do error. फाइन. चलो, प्रीएम्बल में किसको प्रीएम्बल याद है? Any question? Who remembers? Yeah, preamble. Yes, बोलिए, क्या है preamble? हाँ बोलिए. Yes, I. And constitute India into sovereign socialist democratic republic, and secure all citizens justice, social, economic, political liberty, liberty of thoughts, expression, belief, equality, equality of status, dignity, और क्या है dignity of individual and unity and integrity of the nation. Yeah, in our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1946, do hereby adopt, enact, and give ourselves to this to this Constitution. That is a preamble. Right? How we can define preamble? Should not write preamble, right? You know the preamble? हर एनसीईआरटी की किताब में होता है शुरू में preamble और fundamental duty होता है ना. So how we will define preamble? कैसे define कर सकते हैं preamble? अच्छा टाइम हमारे पास है ना अभी. हाँ. How we can define preamble? Yeah, fine. How we can define preamble? Basic outlines of the Indian Constitution. Yeah, more. Yeah. Basic outline of what? Indian state and society, can we say? ठीक है. और फिर
Sir, it is an introductory part to the Constitution.
it is an introductory part. Then sorry, core values. Okay, it talks about the core value. Core value of whom? ठीक है. Envisions the future. Right? Fine. Yeah, again. Anything else? Sorry, come again. Yeah, very good, very good. Brief and very precise format of the Indian Constitution. Sorry? Summary of the Indian Constitution. Yeah. Summary of the Indian Constitution. Fine. Again, yeah. Again, more. How we can define preamble? बहुत सारे हैं. चलिए. Someone say soul of the Constitution. Yeah. Identity card of the Indian Constitution. Yeah, you're right. What about the philosophy of the Indian Constitution? It constitutes philosophy of the Constitution. Right? What do you mean by philosophy? Anyone who's opting philosophy? What's the meaning of philosophy? थ्योरी तो साइंस में भी होता है. ये दो वर्ड से बना है. फिल प्लस सोफिया. फिल मीन्स लव एंड सोफिया मीन्स विजडम. आपने नाम सुना है किसी का सोफिया? का नाम होता है विजडम, प्रूडेंस. राइट? So when you say philosophy means love and love for wisdom. When you say philosophy, right, for Platonic philosophy, his wisdom, Plato's wisdom. When you say Marx philosophy, Marx wisdom. When you say philosophy of the Constitution, it means it is a wisdom of the entire Constitution. It is a prudence of the Constitution. You know, prudence का मतलब क्या होता है? Knowledge. Prudence means knowledge, wisdom, सब इकट्ठा यूज करते हैं. So it constitutes philosophy of the or a spirit of the Constitution. Word spirit सुना है? A spirit, consciousness, idea, right? It's a spirit of the Constitution, right? It tells us about what freedom, struggle or freedom leaders of the freedom struggle viewed India's future. Right? It tells us that what freedom struggle, leaders of the freedom struggle, visualize India, how future India should be. Right? It should be sovereign, secular, socialist, democratic, republic, justice, equality, liberty for all. Right? If you see the justice, there is a word social, economic, and then political. Right? Why this priority was given? Why not political before social? We'll talk about when I'll talk about justice, right? So they prioritize social justice more than economic than political, right? You're right. Society का condition जो था कुछ anyway. So they prioritize liberty of thought, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship. They talked about, right? Now, if you look at, there's a first line, we the people of India. What does it mean? Yeah, we the people of India solemnly resolve to constitute India into a sovereign. We the people means we are people resolving it. It means we are the sovereign. Right? Who did it? We the people of India declared India as a sovereign, socialist, republic, democratic. Right? Secular democratic, republic democratic. Right? So we the people are, it signifies that popular sovereignty. Have you heard about the word sovereignty? It signifies, ये थोड़ा सा पिक्चर बना लीजिए इसको, थोड़ा सा ऐसे में काम हो जाएगा, and you can write in your own language, but I will, of course, I will 2-3 line I will add up. Preamble envisions the future, basic outline of Indian Constitution, summary of, कितने आप लोग नहीं बनाया है, मैंने 2-3 लाइन बताया है आपको, right? तो collectively ऐसे होता है, सारा चीज बहुत आसान हो जाता है. When we move collective, we move slowly but solidly. Philosophy of the Constitution, spirit of the Constitution, core value of the nation. You can write conscience of the Indian Constitution. Preamble is a conscience keeper of the Indian Constitution. Okay? It is the ethos of the Indian Constitution. बना लीजिए आराम से. उसके बाद शुभम ने कहा preamble is a lighthouse and where there is a lack of clarity, it can be used to give some light to meaning of provisions of Constitution. Yes, yes. It is a Supreme Court judgment, basically. Shubham. Done. Writing part done. सब हो गया. Online. Nitin, Priyansi, Amber, Abhilasha, Abhay, and others. Hers. You can write DDD. लिखिए. नहीं हुआ तो लिखिए. आराम से चित्रकारी करिए. Got the idea? Preamble, how we can define preamble? Any confusion? Definition में नहीं होगा? You can define it? Okay. Should I move ahead then? Hers, yeah, Damanpreet. दमनप्रीत है या कुछ और? दमनप्रीत या क्या नाम है? इसने 9 लिखा है फिर से, अभी तक नहीं हुआ है। डन, ओके। नाउ लिखो, जिसका नहीं हुआ लिखो, मैं 2 मिनट थोड़ा सा बातचीत में इनको उलझाता हूं। नाउ we will start with the idea that we the people, right? What we the people signifies. So we the people signifies popular sovereignty, right? What is sovereignty then? No, sovereignty is not, yeah, sovereignty is supreme authority, supreme control, right? So if you see the we the people, we the people of India, ऐसे है ना, signify popular sovereignty. Popular sovereignty. We the people of India signify popular sovereignty. अच्छा, sovereignty का क्या मतलब है? Supreme control. Sovereignty means supreme control और supreme power, ऐसे लेते हैं ना, supreme power, right? When I talk about sovereignty, popular sovereignty, इसका मतलब क्या है popular sovereignty का? Supreme power and authority lie in the people. इसका मतलब क्या है? Popular sovereignty means people are source of all authority and power. People are, popular sovereignty means people are source of all authority and power. अच्छा, इसके अलावा सुप्रीम कंट्रोल पहले कौन रखा करता था? लोग रखा करते थे. When I say people are the source of power and authority, was it all the time same? Then who used to control, who used to have supreme power? Yeah, monarch or even British monarch, right? Not the Indian people, right? The monarch used to have supreme control, right? And when the supreme control is one hand, then it is called monastic sovereignty. Mono means, word mono सुना है? mono मतलब one, ठीक है? होता है ना, मोनोगेमी, पॉलीगेमी सुना है? तो मोनोगेमी मतलब जिसका एक शादी, ठीक है? अब मोनो हटा दीजिए और आईएसटी लगा दीजिए, मोनोइस्ट सोवर्निटी. इसका क्या मतलब हुआ? व्हेन सोवर्निटी लाई इन द हैंड ऑफ वन, that one may be king or family of that king, or maybe one person like Jim Kong, ये क्या नाम है नॉर्थ कोरिया का, Kim Jong. There is a monastic sovereignty. He is a supreme, he has supreme control. तो monoist sovereignty. But यहाँ पर popular sovereignty का क्या मतलब है? Sovereignty lie in the people, right? In North Korea, sovereignty does not lie in the people. Sovereignty lie in the hand of one person. As in China, one party holds the entire control power. Yeah, you're right. So wherever there is a democracy, there is a popular sovereignty, because it is the people who elect representative. So wherever there is a democracy, there is a popular sovereignty. Got the idea? Sovereignty का मतलब पता चल गया? Now if you look at sovereignty, there are sovereignty from whom? Some supreme control on what? अगर हम बात करते हैं कि आपके पास सुप्रीम कंट्रोल है, सुप्रीम पावर है, तो क्या करने का पावर है भाई? सुप्रीम पावर, या यही तो सोवर्निटी का मतलब है. सोवर्निटी फ्रॉम व्हाट? सोवर्निटी टू इन अ डोमेस्टिक अफेयर, and you are also free from external control, right? You are free from external control. Right? If you talk about India, India has opted a foreign policy just after independence. You remember, do you know, that is called NAM, non-alignment movement. What was that? Exactly. So we will not submit to any power, either of the bloc. नाम क्या था कि ना हम अमेरिका के साथ जाएंगे, अमेरिकन पावर के साथ जाएंगे, और ना ही यूएसएसआर के साथ जाएंगे. हमारा अपना इंडिपेंडेंट फॉरेन पॉलिसी होगा, राइट? इंडिपेंडेंट फॉरेन पॉलिसी होगा. सो सुप्रीम पावर, फ्री फ्रॉम एक्सटर्नल कंट्रोल. हम किसी के अधीन में नहीं है भाई, जो मन होगा वो करेंगे. तब आईआर में पढ़ाऊंगा ये सब चीज, ठीक है? जब आईआर मुझे पढ़ाने का मौका मिलेगा तो, ठीक है? और डोमेस्टिक अफेयर में यू आर फ्री टू गवर्न. इट मींस यू हैव मोनोपोली ऑन वायलेंस विद इन द डोमेस्टिक मैटर. आप पूरे इंडिया में कहीं भी स्टेट वायलेंस कर सकते, दूसरा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन नहीं कर सकता. ओनली स्टेट हैज मोनोपोली ओवर लेजिटिमेट वायलेंस. दूसरा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन करेगा, बट वो लेजिटिमेसी नहीं होगी. आर यू गेटिंग माय पॉइंट? पुलिस को लाठी चलाने का है, अथॉरिटी है, बट मैं लाठी लेके नहीं चल सकता. Right? Military can, have gun, or even police can have gun, but I cannot have gun and then walk. No. Right? So state has monopoly over violence within the territory of India, or legitimate violence. समझ में आया? कोई भी लॉ बनाना है डोमेस्टिक अफेयर में, स्टेट कैन डू इट. Right? Recently, India has declared that it will arrange G20 summit. Next year G20 summit होना है, पता है आप लोग को? 2023 में. कहां पे होगा ये? जम्मू एंड कश्मीर एंड लद्दाख. JNK and Ladakh, some part of Delhi, some part of maybe Mumbai हो सकता है, but major center would be Jammu Kashmir and Ladakh. But China and Pakistan has objected it, right? And India has retaliated कि हमारा टेरिटरी है भाई, हाँ, वहां पर हम जाके चार गाय ही बांध ले. उस आपको क्या है? इट मींस आई एम सोवर्न टू डू वट एवर आई कैन डू इन माई डोमेस्टिक टेरिटरी, राइट? इन डोमेस्टिक अफेयर आई कैन हेल्ड G20 समिट इन दिल्ली, मुंबई, गोवा, तमिलनाडु, मिजोरम, अरुणाचल और जम्मू कश्मीर. इट्स माई टेरिटरी. That is the meaning of sovereignty. What the idea? राइट? ये पता चल गया. एक्सटर्नल फ्रॉम इंटरनल, दोनों तरह से आप फ्री हैं, किसी कोई रिस्ट्रिक्शंस नहीं है. दैट इज कॉल्ड सोवर्निटी. नाउ नेक्स्ट वर्ड क्या है? विद द पीपल ऑफ इंडिया हैव, या सोशलिस्ट. अच्छा, सोशलिस्ट का क्या मतलब है भाई? सोशलिस्ट का क्या मतलब है? या सोसाइटी ओरिएंटेड. सोसाइटी ओरिएंटेड. अच्छा, ये सोशलिस्ट जो वर्ड है ना, ये सोसायर वर्ड से आया है. इसका मतलब होता है शेयर. क्या मतलब होता है? शेयर। और ये आइडिया डेवलप कब हुआ है? मिड ऑफ 19th सेंचुरी में। क्यों डेवलप हुआ है? इट डेवलप्ड एज अ रिएक्शन टू कैपिटलिज्म। बोलोगे सर सारा चीज यहीं पढ़ाओगे? डू यू नो एनीथिंग अबाउट कैपिटलिज्म? कैपिटलिज्म
So the power influence and money is controlled by very few people.
साक्षी सॉरी कंसंट्रेशन ऑफ वेल्थ इन फ्यू हैंड। अच्छा, मैं पूरा स्टेट का थोड़ा जर्नी बता दे दो आप लोग का। पूरा स्टेट राज्य टेरिटोरियल यूनिट जैसे बात करते हैं ना कि इंडिया अभी एक इंडिया है, क्या 50 साल 200 साल पहले ऐसे ऐसा था? 300 साल पहले ऐसा नहीं था। पूरी दुनिया में ऐसी नहीं थी। स्टेट हैज चेंज इट्स फॉर्म। अगर आप पहले की बात करेंगे, एंशिएंट टाइम स्टेट वाज अ टाइनी सिटी स्टेट। For example, should give you example like Mahajanpada in ancient India. Similarly, if you talk about Greece, there is Athens, Sparta, Miletus. There are some small state. But in the due course of time, a big empire was started, like modern empire. History में सुना है? Modern empire शुरू हुआ, right? मैसिडोनिया का कौन सा इंसान था जो पूरी दुनिया को जीतने का वो रखता था? Alexander, yeah, right. Alexander has started that mission to establish an empire, and that empire continued till 16th century. In India, there was a Mughal empire. In the Middle East, there was an Ottoman empire. In Europe, there was a Habsburg and Bourbon empire. Right? That empire broke out, and the new territorial unit came into being that is called nation state. Right? That called nation state. Today we have 193 nation state in the United Nations. Who is the recent member of the United Nations? South Sudan. Very good. South Sudan hai. Now, anyway, if you see the 16th, 17th century, there was changes in society, right? And society changes was from feudal to capitalism. Feudal में क्या होता था? Feudal society was largely on agrarian society. Feudal society was largely on agrarian society. But 17th century, there was lots of changes in science and technology, changes in innovation, changes in philosophy, changes in art and culture, and that gave birth to a new kind of orientation, a new kind of society that is called urban society. A new big society city was formed, right? And that they were formed by two kinds of people. One was the propertied class जिसके पास पैसा था, इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट जिसने इंडस्ट्री डाली वहां पर। दूसरा था जो गांव से भागे थे, गांव में बाउंडेड लेबर की काम करते थे, शहर में भाग के वर्किंग क्लास में बदल गए। in their village they were working as a bounded labor, but they moved from that village structure and went to the city, but even city placed them as a working class, right? And this capitalism was very exploitative. Why exploitative? Because the working hour was not fixed, 12 hours, 16 hours, 14 hours. The wage was also not a standard. And there was also not law whether you should involve woman or child or teenager, right? Yeah. So the capitalist, the owner of the property, the industries, had no rules, regulation. And this capitalism was very much exploitative. Many slums came up, right? Then the scholars who argued, no, we don't believe in this society, we believe in socialism. What does it mean? Here, you don't have private property. We will share. We will share. Property will be in common. Property will be in common. There will be no private property, right? they believe that we need to establish a socialist society. There are many variations of socialism, right? But basically, socialism talks about to share, to common, to distribute, to distribute. If you talk about entire DPSP, the DPSP is influenced by the idea of socialism, welfare, socio-economic rights. Fine. If you look at 1955 Congress session, right, they talked about their aim is to establish a socialist pattern of society. ठीक है, आबादी कांग्रेस सेशन नाम था इनका 1955 में. एम्बिशन क्या था? To establish a socialist pattern of society. If you look at 1956 Indian industrial plan, that what was the ambition of that plan? To establish a socialist pattern of society, right? But if you look at socialism, this word was not in the preamble. It was added in the preamble in 1940, not 1946, 1976 through the 42nd Amendment. Through the 42nd Amendment Act, right? If you see the 1950 के टाइम पे जब इंडिया का डेवलपमेंट प्लान हुआ, we opted mixed plan. Mixed plan. What was the mixed plan ambition? To wipe out the tears from the masses. Have you heard about Rise with Destiny, a speech of Nehru? If you have not heard about it, go to YouTube and listen it. Right? Rise with Destiny speech, lecture. His ambition was to eradicate poverty, eradicate ignorance, eradicate disease, eradicate inequality, right? And that's why India adopted one approach. That approach was socialist, right? Socialist state basically on the major key industries. Socialist state, it does not believe in private property, capitalist state wala, nahi. It does own the all key sectors. For example, if you look at India in 1950, it owned all the key sectors. Then अभी भी बहुत सेक्टर है, रेलवे, अभी भी डिफेंस प्राइवेट को नहीं दिया है, कुछ रिलायंस को देना शुरू किया है, राइट? अभी रेलवे में भी बहुत कुछ हो चुका है प्राइवेटाइजेशन, बट राइट, सो प्राइवेटाइजेशन होगा तो फिर किधर हम जाएंगे? कैपिटलिज्म की तरफ, राइट? इंडिया ऑप्टेड मिक्स्ड इकोनॉमी. इन 1955 Congress Avadi session declared India as the aim of India's development would be socialist pattern of society, right? और पार्टी का ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या होगा? To establish socialist pattern of society. 1956 industrial plan also declared India as a socialist society, and in 1976 it declared through the 42nd Amendment, this word was added, right? Socialism means redistribution. If you look at DPSP, it has various socio-economic rights that has been secured. However, it is not justiciable. That's fine. But it was in order to have a socialist society, in which state can empower people, state can facilitate, state can give education, state can make a law to protect women, state can pay women and man equally, state can give maternity relief, state can minimize inequality, economic inequality. What the idea? Socialism, right? बहुत सारा चीज आपको मैंने बताया, पूरा यूरोप से, right? थोड़ा सा समझ में आया, थोड़ा समझ में, अगर 20% समझ में आ गया तो बहुत आ गया, राइट? थोड़ा उसको मैं लिखवा दूंगा, ठीक है? हाँ, सॉरी, कम अगेन. That's a good question. Do you know Scandinavian country? All are socialist country. Do you think that capitalist country is better than socialist?
America, UK,
Yeah. So is America more developed than Norway? Sweden?
but they have better company.
But you can't compare socialist with North Korea and China. No. There are many variations of socialism or USSR. Socialism means, my maximum income will go to the tax and it will be redistributed among the people. But 15% तो रहेगा ना मेरे पास टैक्स. स्कैंडिनेवियन कंट्री में कितना परसेंट टैक्स जाता है पता है आपको? 85%. 85% my dear. अच्छा, वो पैसा सरकार का क्या करती है? आपका लाइब्रेरी फ्री है, आपका घर फ्री है, हर चीज फ्री है वहां पर. ट्रांसपोर्ट फ्री है, हेल्थ फ्री है, हर चीज फ्री है. एंड क्वालिटी हेल्थ फ्री है, क्वालिटी एजुकेशन फ्री है. ऐसा नहीं कुछ कुछ भी अपॉइंटमेंट कर दिया अतिथि शिक्षक और लगा दिए. एडहॉक टीचर्स एंड एडहॉक humiliated what do you know ad hoc teachers and ad hoc professors regularly they are being humiliated. Ad hoc judges are being appointed in India, right? So it's very shortcut your answer to your question, right? But socialism has its own problem too, right? It cannot be a wealthy state like US. But do you want wealthy state or do you want developed state? Right? Do you want economic growth approach? The growth will be so high, property will be so up, or do you want humanistic approach? No, each human have equal worth and each human should have equal access to education, health, and basic amenities. It's up to you. Right? Depends on what kind of socialism you follow and whether people are ready to follow it or not. You can change people but gradually. आपका हैबिट बहुत धीरे से चेंज होता है. सडनली स्विच नहीं हूं मैं, आपने दबाया और मैं बदल गया. No one is here like machine, right? There's a difference between machine and human being. You can change human being. नहीं तो सास बहू में झगड़ा देखो कैसे होता है. देखा है कभी सास बहू में झगड़ा? पूरी कहानी है, कभी सास भी बहू थी, right? And it is said, what I patriarchy? I define patriarchy. It is a rule of man, right, over woman, and rule of elders over the youngers, right? But do you know who is the most carrier of the patriarchy? It is a woman. मेरा पति मेरा देवता है, गाना सुना है, right? वो जाती है, सिंदूर लगाती है, ये इधर चूड़ी पहनती है, किसके लिए? पूजा करती है, किसके लिए? अपने लिए? हस्बैंड के लिए. या हस्बैंड क्या करेगा? फिर हस्बैंड क्या करेगा? तो ऑल सिग्नल्स ऑफ पेट्रियार्की. एंड सास क्या करती है? बहू को दबाती है. ससुर नहीं दबाता उतना. ऐसे करो, मेरा बेटा को खाना दो, मेरे बेटा को ये कर दो, मेरा बेटा को पैर दबा दो, ऐसे कर दो, वैसे कर दो, ऐसे नहीं करती, वैसे नहीं करती. सास के मुंह से बहू की बुराई. Why is it so? Because she is a carrier of patriarchy also. She is not out of that structure, right? तो ये साइकोलॉजी है. फाइन, जो कैरी होता है, जनरेशन टू जनरेशन ट्रांसफर होता है. बट nowadays, there are more sas who are becoming more friendly than the earlier time. But ऐसा नहीं कि एक दिन में सारे सास चेंज हो जाएंगे, नहीं होगा. You can bring a law and then to change all sas. All sas supposed to behave good with her daughter-in-law. हो ही नहीं सकता. लॉ ला लो, कुछ कर लो. Got the idea? तो सोशल बिहेवियर में चेंज होता है. बट there is a debatable socialism. But Scandinavian country are also socialist. They are developed, not they are wealthy country. There is a difference between having wealth and developed. Many people have wealth, but they are not developed. They can't read this book. They have money, they have BMW, but they can't read it and can understand this text. Right? They can negotiate with the rickshawala, but they cannot negotiate in the mall. There is a difference. Right? But a developed people will never negotiate with this person. Wealth. Wealth. That you believe, that I don't. Quality of life of the people. You know, economy is a product of man. Man is not a product of economy. Got that, yeah? Economy is a product of man. If you dehumanizing people, how can you create wealth? What would the purpose of the wealth if your people are not able to eat properly, not able to access education? क्या होगा उतना करोड़ पैसे लेके, क्या करोगे? मेरे गांव में एक गंगा बाबा है, एक बहुत पैसा था उनके पास अभी भी 50 रूम का घर है, right? But he used to not eat properly. He used not to eat, keep any vehicles, and he did not allow any child to go to school. अपने काम में लगा लिया. आज ये है कि सारी प्रॉपर्टी चली जाती है. Right? So, okay, wealth is necessary. It is a good, but it is not the end. Wealth is a means. It is not and. So we should not strive to generate wealth and we become, कि wealth ही generate करना. नहीं, wealth जरूरी है, पैसा तो जरूरी है. I'm not denying the fact, but it is mandatory to the certain limits. Right? We should not deny access to education or access to health or access to political participation to any community. We cannot develop with suppression of any community. ठीक है? तो ये है. Fine. तो wealth ठीक है, ये डिपेंड करता है लोगों का है. जैसे किसी ने कहा कि wealth है तो बहुत सब कुछ है, पैसा है तो सब कुछ है. बट कुछ लोग पैसा है तो सब कुछ नहीं है, पैसा है तो बहुत कुछ है बट सब कुछ नहीं है. फाइन, तो डिपेंड करता है. चलो, सोशलिज्म समझ में आया. अब लिखेंगे कल सोशलिज्म के बारे में. सोवर्निटी के बारे में कुछ लिखवा कल दूंगा. अच्छा, we will talk about tomorrow. मतलब डिक्टेशन टुमारो हो जाएगी. और कुछ पूछना है सोशलिज्म के बाद क्या है? सोबर्न, सोशलिस्ट, सेकुलर, बहुत बड़ा झगड़े वाला मामला है. ऑन मंडे, या एनी क्वेश्चन इफ यू हैव? नो क्वेश्चन? हाँ, think, yeah, that's good. That's this, we think that's why we are different. नहीं, otherwise तो see, एक चीज, if you would have been followed Gandhian model of development, see, Gandhian एक तो फॉलो हुआ नहीं. फॉलो होता तो रिजल्ट कुछ और होता. अभी तो मेरा ओपिनियन हो सकता है ऐसा होता, राइट? और वो कहावत सुनी, ऐसा होता तो क्या होता, ऐसा होता तो क्या होता, तुम होती तो मैं होता. सुना है कहानी? वो गाना, अमिताभ बच्चन का डायलॉग, वो वाली बात होगी. गांधी का होता तो क्या होता, राइट? बट इफ यू टॉक अबाउट रेलिवेंस ऑफ Gandhian thought will always be relevant, right? New Green Party in Europe. There are Green Party in Europe. There are many local organizations, civil society organization, which works on the basis of Gandhi, right? For example, they promote local participation. They promote small things. They have reduces their necessity. आज पंखा नेसेसिटी है, राइट? हो सकता है कि आपके लिए लग्जरी हो, कल जरूरत हो जाएगी, right? Air condition may be necessary or for luxury for some day, but after some time that will be necessary. नहीं होगा, पंखा के बिना रह लोगे दिल्ली में? 49 डिग्री गया था इस बार, अब तो एसी जरूरत हो गया भाई. But in this model of development, how long will go? Is it sustainable development? No. Then again Gandhi comes here. Gandhi will tell you कि don't do heavy industrialization, right? ये तो reference है हमारा. Gandhi was against of heavy industrialization because of two things. Let me tell you things. He was against of heavy industrialization. One is it produces inequality. It does not mean there is no equality, and other or other model of development will not produce inequality. No, it produces inequality which dehumanizes people. इंसान को इंसान नहीं रहने देता है, जानवर से भी बदतर हालत होती है. Go to the factory and look at the if you China में ह्यूमन राइट्स का वायलेशन पता है कितना ज्यादा होता है? Labor law in the China, right? There are predictions that China will disintegrate. Not today, tomorrow. Not tomorrow, day after tomorrow. Because of its suppression to its own people. And the violation of कितने दिन किसको बंदी बना के रखोगे? Right? Freedom is a basic thing. One scholar, his name is Patrick Henry. He said, give me liberty or death. Freedom is a basic thing, right? Everybody loves freedom. Everybody, birds loves freedom, animal loves freedom. China कितने दिन बंदी बना के रख लेगा? Right? Russia was very powerful, a very powerful state. Did it survive with curbing liberty? Stalin was very powerful. तो ऐसा होगा, आपको देना पड़ेगा, ठीक है, फ्रीडम तो देना पड़ेगा. एंड गांधी वाज इन फेवर ऑफ फ्रीडम. चलो, तो आज सोशलिज्म तक हुआ. सो कल मैं क्या करूंगा? सोवर्निटी लिखवा दूंगा, सोशलिज्म, एंड देन आई विल स्टार्ट अबाउट सेक्युलरिज्म, राइट? एक दिन पूरे सब, मैंने बताया 4-5 क्लास आराम से लगेंगे पूरा पढ़ने में आपको, ठीक है? अच्छा, कुछ बताना है आपको, कुछ पूछना है तो पूछ लीजिए, कुछ सजेशन देना है कि सर थोड़ा सा. हाँ, यस.
Both the models can be taken to use as socialism as well as capitalism for developing like India. Don't you think that in this world where the globalization is very high and no country is sufficient, the quality factor should be emphasized more than socialism?
Yeah, sure, I'll answer you. यार पहले इनका, आपका नाम क्या है? क्या नाम है? वैद्यनाथ, वैशाल. 1 minute. वैशाख ना? ओके. He has asked one question. थोड़ा क्वेश्चन पे ध्यान दे दिया जाए. Can you reformulate question?
Don't you think that emphasizing more on money making is more important than socialism? Other petroleum to generate electricity and need money so that our children can study and go to schools.
Yeah. See, developing country like India, due to globalization, you have interconnected many things, right? Don't you think that capitalism is a good way rather than socialism? Is it your question?
I'm saying that capitalism is to be adopted a little more than socialism because we need money.
तो वही तो मिक्स इकोनॉमी है, और उसके बाद बहुत सारे आगे हम आ गए हैं. इट्स कॉल्ड वेलफेयर स्टेट. तो वेलफेयर स्टेट ऑल्सो गिव्स प्राइवेट फ्रीडम, प्राइवेट सेक्टर. जैसे इंडिया ने भी प्राइवेट सेक्टर अलाउ किया, वो 1950 से अलाउ किया, राइट. बहुत सेक्टर को पब्लिक रखा गया, बट एट द सेम टाइम इट विल फोकस ऑन रीडिस्ट्रीब्यूशन, राइट. नाउ व्हाट इज ग्लोबलाइजेशन? Is it connected? Globalization is defined as a, free flow of idea, goods, right? Capital, labor throughout the world, right? The development of ICT, information and communication technology, and internet has accelerated the process of globalization, right? I can talk to a person who is in Norway today. अभी बात कर सकते हैं. It was not possible earlier. It was not possible earlier. Now this globalization has also, made the border meaningless, made the borders, है ना. अब आज जो हम यूज कर रहे हैं, फोन से लेके पूरा सर ऊपर से नीचे देखो, हर जगह पक्का यूज कर रहे हैं, राइट. तो पहले आपको कोई सामान अगर कोरिया का है तो एक्सेस करने के लिए चाहे कोरिया से मंगाओ या आप जाओ, बट कोरिया का सामान यहीं पे मिल रहा है दिल्ली में. यू कैन एक्सेस कोरियन गुड्स और एनी वर्ल्ड एनी गुड्स, राइट. बट कैन यू टेल मी who is selling more and who is buying more through the globalization? अच्छा बताओ, सुबह में कौन सा टूथपेस्ट यूज करते हो? कॉलगेट. आई डू कॉलगेट. कहां का प्रोडक्ट है? अमेरिकन. फाइन. कौन सा साबुन यूज करते हो? पियर्स. नहीं, या कौन यूज करता है? डव, राइट. कहां का प्रोडक्ट है डव? इंडियन प्रोडक्ट है क्या? नॉट. अच्छा, अब उसके बाद अब कौन सा मोबाइल फोन है आपके हाथ में? आइदर सैमसंग और सैमसंग और चाइना का, या कौन है? एमआई. अभी सस्ता वही आ रहा है, मेरे पास भी वही है. which laptop you use? Dell, HP, right? Maximum, it is a developed world which has flooded with product to India and other country. And it is not a globalization, it is also something you call neo-imperialism. I'm looking at different perspective, right? Because thoda sa mujhe ab thoda, you see the maximum product is from 4-5 countries. Maximum product is from 4-5 countries. Right? Maximum channels that you watch, English channel, for 4-5 countries. That means we are consuming the developed countries' product. So our wealth is going out. Right? आपको लग रहा है कि ऐसा हुआ है? Sometimes we will talk about poverty. I will talk about क्या condition है. Right? 90 में कितना poverty था, but poverty का measurement क्या था? Now what is the poverty now? What is the measurement? If you increase $1 again, you can see the increase of poverty. Right? So fine. लोग कह रहे हैं there are and idea is contested. Let me tell you, not my words are ultimate truth, not your words is ultimate truth. There are debate among the follower of globalization. They said globalization is good, but there are opposition of globalization which said no, globalization is not good. Exactly, we are becoming consumer. We are becoming consumers of the developed world. I know. There are many books. Yeah. There are many books, उस बाद में हम लोग डिबेट कर लेंगे इस पे, ठीक है? There are many, this is contested, right? But at the end I will conclude कि नहीं, freedom ठीक है, right? But absolute freedom is not good. Uncontrolled freedom is not good.